Answering the phone is very, very specific and vitally important. Sometimes all 5 calls will come in at the exact same time.
I was told by one of the supervisors back then that, oh, she might not make it because she have a local accent.
If you want to give it a try and say, hey, how good is Howard's? Just give us a call. Good day and welcome to the Offsite Team podcast. How are you today, April?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. It's the middle of typhoon season, and I said, hey, how's it been and what's the weather today?
Right now it's been great. So currently it's 5 in the morning, but the weather has already been good and no more strong winds.
And
How
you
about
guys
in
have you
Yakima?
guys have gotten nailed with a bunch of strong storms, and your downtime has been significantly less because in the Philippines they've had all sorts of great improvements to their system, haven't they?
That is right.
Things are getting better. Before it used to get windy and all of a sudden you guys are offline for a few hours. Leading a DME business, there's nothing more frustrating than people wanting to call our business and not having enough employees to pick up the phone and get paying customers in the door. So what we do at Offsite Team Member, we understand the challenges faced by the DME business leaders in their quest to find dependable and affordable employees who also know Brightree. So April and I, we've created a revolutionary workforce solution that resolves this problem, enabling DME business leaders to thrive with a reliable and cost-effective team. And today we are talking about communications. What does it look like to have, we have both on-site as well as an off-site team answering phone calls. So imagine a world where you never have to worry about finding trustworthy employees again, a world where your business operates smoothly with a team that consistently delivers excellence. So I'm here to say, hey, Offsite Team is here to make that vision a reality. Today, we're going to talk about what that looks like with DME trained communications team workers who also know Brightree. Now we've talked about several other areas in which our business uses offsite team members in the Philippines. We started with something super easy, data entry, confirming orders, fax wranglers. It wasn't until about a year ago we finally jumped all in and our communication team members answer the phone at Howard's Medical. If you want to give it a try and say, hey, how good is Howard's, just give us a call, message me, and I'll let you know, here's our phone number, and call and talk to our team members and say, hey, I'm just testing you guys out. Can I order my CPAP supplies? They'll take great care of you. Now tell me, what are some of the problems that people deal with when answering phones, US based or in the Philippines?
I'd say if there's a lot of call volumes, that's the number one problem. So taking in 1 to 2 lines at the same time is an issue. But if you hire an offsite team member, then that will eliminate the problem of having just the number of persons taking in phone calls. So that's one. And another struggle would be if we're dealing with a challenge or a difficult customers. I think that's one of the main issues since it's a DME company that we are catering. So mostly they're a patient who's going through a lot with their personal, so family member is sick.
And so the number one problem is answering the phone calls as they come in. It would be great if our customers was, okay, you're going to call from 8 to 8:15 in the morning. Okay. And the next person's going to call from 8:17 to 8:23. And then we need 4 minutes to put a note in the account and then, and fax the doctor and Brightree. And then from 8:27 to 8:35, we'll handle, sometimes all 5 calls will come in at the exact same time. So how do we juggle all this? And when we originally started our store, what we were doing is like anyone else, we were not only answering phones, we were handling in-store customers at the exact time. And so what do you do? And sometimes if it gets busy, well, it goes to voicemail. Well, going to voicemail is not good because then they call my competitor, and my competitor who we're outdoing gets the sale because they picked the phone up. And that's not an acceptable way of doing business because, sorry, competitor, ABC Medical, I think they should come to us. I don't want to give that sale away. We've got to pick the phone calls up. Now, you saw when you came to Yakima earlier this year, what did you notice when you walked the customer service floor and tried to answer phones at the same time?
It was actually hard, but the good thing is that if they're not able to answer the call, it will go straight right away to our communications team members, which is neat. That way they can focus on the customers that are coming through the stores.
And this is the neat thing. We would not have been able to do this 10 years ago, but now, literally, if you call our store, the phones ring in Manila and in Yakima, Washington, and in
Yeah.
sunny side of Washington all at the same time. Welcome to VoIP, where you can have that happen. And so whoever's available can answer the phone at the same time. Not only that, our offsite team members can text message our customers for us. So we can have conversations going across 5 US-based locations, plus the entire communications team. I love what technology has happened. Here's the thing is, anytime someone does not answer a phone call, that's potential revenue that our DME, respiratory, rehab business is potentially losing. If you're listening, you've got to pick that phone up. Do whatever you can to pick the phone up ASAP. One of the common complaints, you're going to have a call center in the Philippines. That's just horrible. I've been yelled at a few times. How dare you? Here's my counter argument. Would you rather talk to someone who English is not their first language and sit on hold for 45 minutes? Or would you rather talk to someone where English is their second language, pretty doggone good, and you get answered immediately? What would be your choice? You can figure it out. And so the way we've set things up in our business is you have offsite team members, and it's not like we only have offsite team. We use a hybrid approach, both team members that speak English across our 5 locations, and we have an offsite team. And so it's a both and, because sometimes there are questions you do not know the answer. And so you'll call to one of our stores and say, hey, I don't understand what this one person's saying because they're using some really complex medical terminology that I haven't figured out yet. Or what's the status of this order? Is it pulled? Is it shipped? So we use this combination hybrid approach, and it tends to work pretty well. So one of the things, when we were looking at having team members, we looked at both the Philippines as well as India. We chose the Philippines, and we've talked about this in previous episodes. The Philippines have a higher proficiency in English than those out of India. Philippines has a high English literacy rate, one of the official languages of the country. I was fascinated that even your court cases, if you ever have to go to court in the Philippines, it's in English and not Tagalog, right?
Yes, correct.
And you learn from a really young age. And another interesting thing, your accent is slightly neutral, a little more Americanized compared to other accents around the world, which is really helpful. Because what's hard is, I'm just going to use India as an example. Their accent's really heavy. Even though I will talk to one of their call center employees, it's hard to understand what they're actually saying. So tell me, you originally started in a call center. So when you were working at a call center in the Philippines, tell me about that experience. How were they teaching you where you got better and better with your English?
Well, it was actually great because the account that I handled is for doctor's office. So it's an answering service in New York. So we have this English one-on-one training. And then there is this instructor or trainer that we get to sit with. There's an exam, and then there is a recording that you have to do it yourself. So after listening, you have to say it on your own. So it's a communication that they're really into, like how do you pronounce those words, because there are certain words in Filipinos that we say it differently, and you know that if you hear those words.
Give me an example of something you might say differently.
Let's start with the date. So we used to call it on 8, and then you'd be like on the 8th. So that one.
Exactly. And so what we do is I work every week with our communication lead who talk, and we record every single phone call, and we audit every single phone call. And then we post it on a little password protected site where we look at, hey, we're going to grade your phone call this week. We're going to grade another person's call every week. And we're down to the point of the nitty gritty. It's, hey, that was sent on May 8th. That's just how we say it in the United States. There's certain vernacular that we use to talk to our customers. And even the silences and our team, it's really fun, even how we accent certain syllables. At what point do you access? Is it, hey, good day, have a wonderful day? Or is it, good day? What does that accent look like when you're talking is very, very specific. And that's something that I have to work on this with my US-based team members as well, too, because sometimes if they're new to our store, they'll say, hello. No, it's not hello. Good morning. Thank you for calling Howard's Medical. This is Eric. How may I help you today? And there are specific reasons why we do what we do. Answering the phone is very, very specific and vitally important. How else did you learn your English? Because, it's not your first language.
The number one contributor would be working at a call center. So at that time, way back when I was started, I do not have the accent that I have right now. The communication it's not the same as this one. I've actually learned it the hard way. I was told by one of the supervisors back then that, oh, she might not make it because she have a local accent. And then at that time, what I did was, instead of feeling sorry for myself, what I did was, I have to be a go-getter. I listened to recordings in English. So there's this prepaid company or a telephone company in the Philippines that when you call them, there is a recording that's in English. I always call them every day when I wake up. And then I just copied what it's saying. So, and then watch English movies. And I think that was very helpful for me. And when I reached that one, I was like, look at me now.
And you have. What's funny is your English is better than some of my US based employees because you work so hard at that. They come in with their own vernacular. I'm like, oh, please, you sound like an 18-year-old. Well, it's because they are an 18-year-old that just graduated from high school. But testimony to all of our offsite, you work so doggone hard. Now, in a perfect world, I would love to have all of my employees be US based. I would love to. Reimbursements do not allow for that to happen because people were hiring in the United States right now. We're in Yakima, Washington. Minimum wage is, I think, $16 an hour. That's minimum wage. We have to pay $16 an hour. And, to get a more qualified, employee, we're at $17, $18, $19, $20 an hour. And then those of us in the United States, there's this thing called FICA. There's this thing called Social Security. Our company also has a 401k. We offer healthcare. The cost per employee is $20 to $25 an hour, if not higher, depending on the position. You can't have a large workforce just to answer phones and say, yeah, we're open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday and 10 to 3 on Saturdays. We need to answer those calls. Offsite team is the answer to that question because it allows you to answer the phone call and kind of a hybrid approach. What does that look like? The great thing with having offsite team members, it's cost efficient. You don't have to pay for all the taxes. It's lumped into one big, you're paying X amount of dollars per hour. And so it allows companies to basically benefit from having workers in the Philippines compared to other countries. The cost of living in the Philippines is significantly lower, so businesses can maintain a high quality workforce at a fraction of the price that they might pay in their home country. It allows for it to happen. So what are some of the biggest challenges having a large portion of our team? I would say, I don't want to talk actual numbers, but I would say our offsite team answers about 60 to 70% of our phone calls every week that are by US based. What's the biggest obstacle we've run into, April?
I think the first one would be before when we were starting. It wasn't really good.
No, it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster.
We get these phone calls like saying, I wanted to talk to someone in the US. And then what we did was we did some trainings and then we did some hiring process have been changed. And then the training. So we have to do all this. We need to look for this. And when we got into that point, like right now, we haven't heard anything that complains.
We have very few complaints come in. So here's the good news is congratulations. We took it on our heels. We got all the complaints out.
Correct.
And it was messy. It was really, really messy. And we have really cool back end spreadsheets for the most common questions. We have our own little mini wiki that we have that literally has any question that happens 2 or 3 times. We put it into a wiki. So for example, hey, I have a question on this Medicaid plan. And what's the policy regarding a K2 wheelchair? And this diagnosis code, if it's been asked and we didn't have the answer, we've then put it into the wiki. So that is something that we hand down to our communications team members. So, hey, this is the requirement and we can customize those per company. What is your company policy? And then sometimes it's been great. We had someone, I'm not going to say her name, join us from another company. And she's like, yeah, I was doing this here. It was such a great idea. We brought that over here as well, too, because she's like, hey, if we do this, and it had to deal with appointment reminders and customer surveys, it has just absolutely delighted our customers. So now we're at the point where we're saving a lot of money and our customers are getting even better service. And we have great KPIs. And so essentially what happens is we compare our communications team members internally with our external offsite team members. And this is fun because now they're fighting in a really good way. They're competing. Oh boy, it was a couple of weeks ago, one of our offsite team members outperformed our just stud inside sales. And it was fun. And then he raised his game a little bit more. And so you have this fun competition. So maybe we should have a future episode on how do you develop KPIs and KRAs for team members. It's vitally important in terms of working with the offsite team. So other things, the benefits of workforce in the Philippines, they're educated. We've already talked about this on our schooling episode. They're all coming to us fully educated or mostly educated. And then we're handing off to your team is they've worked with our team for at least 3 months before we hand them over to you. So it's not like we're giving you a brand new employee. No, they've worked with us. They've been in Brightree. They've been answering phones. And then also the nice thing I love about our team members in the Philippines is they can work 24/7, 365. Whatever your hours are, yes, I'm on the West Coast, you're 9 hours off. If you were on the East Coast, it's easy. It's exactly 12 hours different. They are very, very flexible. How can you guys be so flexible? Tell me about that.
I would say it's the perseverance of the Filipino. So whatever it is that comes my way, if I want this, I'll do it. Even if I have to, I have to wake up and work with only having 3 hours of sleep, I'll do that.
You did that. You did do that this morning. We don't normally start until after, but we had a team lead meeting at 7 a.m. You woke up, you did quite well, but then you went back to sleep. That's only every other week that you have to do that, but you do it. You just persevere. That's what you do. And I would say, I wish that would rub off onto our US based employees. And actually it does. They see how hard you're working, and certain ones, you do cause everyone else to raise their game. So where do you see the future of like communications? Obviously we have several team members in the Philippines. What would you tell a business that says, I'm not sure if I should do it or not? What would you tell them?
I'd say that if they have a time, just look into the history. How's the Filipinos? Because if you know the culture of the Philippines, we do love hospitality. So we are hospitable. And for a DME company, if I am a DME company, if I'm looking for someone to answer my phone, I want that someone who has the empathy. So it's not
just you do have a lot of empathy as well too.
Correct. So it's not just a scripted response. We need to have a genuine connection with our customers, because that's when you know that someone is doing better. It's just part of the culture itself. So
and we need to have empathy with our customers, because we're going to tell them, yes, you have a high deductible plan with a $5,000 deductible, and you're going to buy a CPAP machine. And so all of it's going to hit your deductible. So today, April, can you please give me $1,233.44 on the phone? And what's your Visa number again? And that's what you ask for. Really good at asking for the money, because we want to make sure that they have a CPAP machine. And we've taught our team how to do that. So basically, our local DME companies, they're getting money faster. And because you'd hate to not pick the phone up and let it go over to your competitor that you've worked so hard to get that customer. Gotta pick the phone up. So, hey, here's how Offsite team works. I work together with April. We've streamlined the recruitment process. As of right now, we have 3 team members ready to place in other companies. We pull out of a very extensive talent pool in the Philippines. We know who we're interviewing, how we're interviewing. There's a personalized matchmaking experience. So give us a call. We don't just randomly put someone onto your team. I want to get a feel for your company culture to see who's going to match better. We might say, no, we're not a good fit, but at least talk to us about it. And obviously, very affordable, very, very affordable. And talk to us about it. It's even more affordable than you think it is. And then last, we offer ongoing support and monitoring. So we're not just going to give you a team. If you just want a team member to be left alone, we'll do that. But what we'll also do is we'll help you with the coaching of the team member, the performance KPIs. And you might say, hey, I only need one, but this is also going to help my on-site team as well too, because you get to kind of hear a little bit of our Spidey secrets that we have on why we keep growing as a local DME. Well, hey, that's communications team in a nutshell with Offsite team members. If this is something that you're possibly interested, give us a call or reach out to offsiteteammember.com. I would love to talk to you, or April would love to talk to you. And next week's podcast, maybe I should not do these because these are on subjects I don't like. We're going to talk about HR, human relations. And that is a portion of our work that we have offsited as well too. Time tracking. What does that look like? And payroll. If someone is interested and possibly, is this something that you want to offsite as well too? We'll talk about that next week. But until then, thank you for listening to Offsite Team Member with April and I, and we'll talk to you next week.